we were rewarded this spring with a really, really wonderful spring migration and a couple of factors that happened, environmental factors that happened to increase the bird activity in your backyards. Probably the two biggest stars in the backyard this spring have been the goldfinches and the orioles. And we're still getting lots and lots of questions as to what's going on and why did my orioles leave? Why did what's happened with my goldfinches, things like that. So what I thought I would do today was kind of catch you up on the spring that is 2020. The orioles have been the most asked about birds, so I thought I would start with them. A couple things that happened. Okay, one is that we had a very late bloom in nature. So black locust trees. I think I've got a picture in here of the black locust. Yes, great picture. This is what orioles live for. They time their migration. When they get here, generally around the 1st of May, the last week of April, the black locust trees, and that's what this is, are starting to open up. And they love the nectar, they love the insects that attack it. And in a year where the timing is such that these black locust trees are going crazy right when they arrive, their activity at feeders is a lot less because they've got a lot more natural food. Well, this year, the black locust trees have finally just opened in the last week. And so the first 2 weeks they were here, they were very hungry, they swamped the bird feeders, and the jelly was going like crazy, and they were eating like crazy. A couple things happened. Like I said, one, the black locust trees blossomed finally, and also the wind shifted out of the south. Birds migrate at night, and and when we've had a lot of north wind, it kind of locks them in here, so they just keep eating and fattening up for their next leg of their journey. And so yes, we did finally have some southern wind as temperatures have increased, and so a lot of our orioles left, and they go up to Wisconsin and Minnesota and southern Canada, places like that for nesting. And the ones that stay and actually nest here have all of a sudden this boom supply of natural food, so they're out there eating. And what's happening now is with the resident birds that are still here, I went from like 12 to 2 overnight, but they keep coming. The two that occasionally come and they eat jelly, they're not eating very much. They have their natural food, plus they're starting their nesting cycle. So they're nest building. She's going to be laying eggs, and when they do that, they usually switch their diet a lot to just primarily insects. And with the increased temperatures, insects are able to hatch, and there's a lot more out there, a lot more worms, a lot more beetles and things like that for them to eat. So they're eating that, and they have to feed those babies insects. The insect's exoskeleton, the outside, the crunchy thing that when you step on a bug and it crunches, that is that exoskeleton, and it's made of keratin, which is basically calcium. And that's the source for their growing bones in those baby birds. So they have to feed them lots and lots of insects. Now, the orioles might still come by and hit your jelly and get a quick fix, the adults, while they're out hunting, but they're not going to eat anything close to what they were just a couple of weeks ago. They were really just gobbling down the jelly, and then it slows down. One suggestion is to try mealworms. If you have a feeder in which you can put jelly and maybe another dish is open, you can put live mealworms in there at first. Then the orioles will sometimes take to those, and then they'll feed those to their babies, and you're helping them out. Where the adults would just barely hit that jelly. Later on, once the baby orioles have fledged, the adults will take them down, can bring them down with an adult feeding a baby oriole, and they teaching him that this grape jelly is a good place to hit to find food. Here's another picture of, you can see the jelly in the adult male's bill, and the baby's begging there. He's flapping his wings and opening his bill, telling Dad, I'd really like some of that. So that's going to be happening later on in the summer, usually more toward the middle of June. Toward the end of June, we'll start seeing this activity. So you'll be rewarded if you keep your jelly fresh and keep it. And remember, house finches and other birds eat the jelly as well, catbirds, ground thrashers. So that's still going on. So don't give up on the jelly just yet because your orioles have slowed down a lot. I'm going to be taking in a couple of my oriole feeders so that I just have one out rather than 3 that I needed during the flurry that was going on. So that's what's going on there. So what is happening with the American goldfinches? Now, the goldfinches have been amazing this spring. they're always here. Like I said, in the winter we have a lot more goldfinches because we get the winter invaders from the north. Well, those guys leave end of March, 1st of April. They take off and head back to their nesting territories up north, but our birds stay. And they're our latest nesting songbirds. So the goldfinches are still not going to nest until mid-July or so. So you can expect them to come and go with natural food sources. So normally the first natural food supply, I've always talked about this, are the dandelions. And that's what happened this year. Our goldfinches kind of left in early spring when the first dandelions headed out. Well, we had 2 big windstorms. And those windstorms stripped the dandelion heads. And when that happened, the goldfinches just swarmed back into your feeders. And we sold so much finch mix, so much Niger and black tie, because the goldfinches were just hoarding the feeders, which is great. And but now they're slowed up again. So you can bet there's probably some kind of natural food source that's come in for them. Maybe red maple seeds or some of the plants that are just starting to produce seeds. Those goldfinches take advantage of those natural food supplies. But they'll be back again because they stay in those small flocks up until July, whenever they finally break out and go nest. And then in July, you'll just have the males for a while the females are incubating and feeding the babies, and then later on in the summer you'll get the baby. They'll bring the babies in. So that's what's happened with the goldfinches, and it's been pretty incredible. And other people, some of the other birds that people are asking about, one is purple martin, and they just down the street here. And the very next day they had 1 martin land on the house, and then I got a call from them yesterday that folks saying that they had a handful of martins on the box already. The misconception is that if I don't have a purple martin house up by March 1st, I can't get purple martins, and it can't be further from the truth. The early March date is just the average return date of the adult males. Those guys like this. This is an adult male purple martin. He wants the best nesting site possible, so he risks his life to come in early to set up territory. The young males, the subadult males, and the females, they filter in much later. And like I said, we just put this house up. I put a house up one year, John and I did, on June 1st, and they had a nest in it. Started nesting the next day on June 2nd. So you still have time to get a purple martin house up. If your purple martin house you have right now doesn't have any in it, keep watching and be diligent to keep those house sparrows cleaned out, because you still have a chance to get those purple martins in your box. Just real quick, the female picture, beautiful. You're looking for those ladies because they have to lay the egg. So the goldfinches, the orioles, the purple martins, and then people are asking about the indigo buntings and the rose-breasted grosbeaks. Both of those birds nest in our area, and the male rose-breasted grosbeaks are still being seen. I still think this migration is still going on. By now, it's usually winding down by this time in May, but because it was a late migration, we still have migrants passing through our yard. I have a friend who has a friend in Houston, Texas, just a few days ago, said they still have migrants way down there that are yet to leave. So I think we're going to have more birds passing through the area, so keep watching, because the rose-breasted grosbeak still may show up at your feeder this spring. But again, once these birds start their nesting cycle, they don't come back to the feeders very much. So a lot of these spring birds, we get to see them for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and then they're out nesting, doing their thing, and we have to look forward to next year. So the rose-breasted grosbeaks are one of those, and of course the indigo buntings have been showing up at feeders. Stunningly beautiful males. The females were all brown. Again, they come in the spring, they hit your feeders. Once they start nesting, then they tend not to hit the feeders again. So a lot of this has to do with insects and feeding the babies. But we were just commenting earlier, there are lots of nesting indigo buntings around the area. If you learn that song and go out to any pretty much a park or conservation area, you can hear them singing around the edges of the fields, especially just numbers of them there. So it's been a great spring. We've got lots of birds that are that keep surprising us. People giving us a call. We had this is a male summer tanager that's been showing up at the jelly as well. we had blue grosbeak showing up. I'm trying to find a picture of my blue grosbeak, but I don't have. Oh, this is a female blue grosbeak. These have been showing up at feeders as well. The males are blue with the brown chevrons on their shoulders, but this is a female, all brown. So just be looking for anything different at your feeders. It's been wonderful this spring. People taking us a quick picture, snapping it to us, sending it to us, and letting us know what they're seeing at your feeders. We always welcome those.
2, 1.
Would you like to learn more about wild birds? You might want to hit that subscribe button.